Stay safe, stay curious. This is Nightmare Stories.
Welcome, fellow travelers of the eerie and the unknown. Tonight we embark on a journey into the heart of homecoming haunting. Behind the facade of warm reunions and familiar places lies a world where nostalgia takes a sinister turn. As we delve into the first tale, remember that not all twins share a bond of love. Some bonds are woven from the threads of darkness itself. Story number 1. The Silent Twin. As the autumn leaves painted the town in shades of gold, Emma returned to her childhood home. The house felt smaller, the memories larger, as if the past had cast a magnifying glass upon it. The air held a touch of anticipation, but also an unnameable unease. Emma's twin sister Lily had always been the quieter of the two. As children, they communicated through whispers and glances, a silent understanding that only twins possess. But Lily had always been different, distant, as if she carried secrets that she couldn't or wouldn't share. The reunion was bittersweet. Emma's parents welcomed her back with open arms, but there was a tension that hung like a shroud. She asked about Lily, only to receive evasive answers and exchange glances. It was as if the mere mention of her sister cast a shadow over the room. Late one night, as the wind whispered through the trees, Emma ventured into Lily's old room. The room had remained untouched, frozen in time, like a museum dedicated to a twin who had vanished. She sifted through the belongings, and that's when she found it. A diary, hidden beneath the floorboards. The diary's pages were filled with cryptic entries, fragments of thoughts that danced on the edge of sanity. Lily wrote of voices in the walls, of shadows that whispered, of a connection to something that defied understanding. Her words spoke of a bond that went beyond sisterhood, a bond that tied her to a world beyond the living. As Emma read, she felt a presence, a cold breath on the back of her neck, the sensation of being watched. She turned, expecting to see Lily, but there was no one there. She hurriedly closed the diary and left the room, heart pounding. The days grew colder, the nights longer, and the unease in the house deepened. Objects moved on their own. Faint whispers echoed through the corridors, and Emma felt a presence that seemed to follow her. She knew, deep down, that Lily was still here, that her silent twin was trying to communicate from the other side. Driven by a mix of fear and determination, Emma returned to Lily's diary. She spoke aloud, her voice a bridge between the living and the dead. And in the silence that followed, she heard it. A voice, faint but unmistakable, a whisper carried on the wind. Emma. The room grew colder, the air heavy with the weight of a presence that defied explanation. And then a shadow materialized, a figure that resembled Lily, her eyes brimming with a mix of sadness and urgency. And in that moment, Emma understood. The bond between twins was unbreakable, even in death. Lily had never truly left. She had become a part of the house, a whisper in the walls, a guardian of secrets that could no longer be contained. As the shadow faded, Emma felt a sense of closure, of understanding. The house was no longer a vessel of unease. It was a sanctuary that held the essence of a twin's love, a love that transcended death itself. Story number 2. Echoes of the Past. Mark's inheritance came with more than he bargained for, a century-old house steeped in family history and secrets. As he stepped across the threshold, nostalgia and curiosity mingled. The air felt heavy, laden with stories waiting to be unraveled. Exploring the house was like flipping through the pages of a forgotten journal. Each creaking floorboard seemed to resonate with a whisper from the past. Mark discovered letters hidden in the attic, inked with emotions that time couldn't erase. But it wasn't just the artifacts that held memories, it was the very walls, the floors, and the rooms. Late one night, as rain tapped on the windows like a melancholic melody. Mark heard it, a soft, haunting melody. Following the sound, he found himself in front of a wooden door that led to a room he hadn't noticed before. The room was frozen in time. Faded photographs adorned the walls, a sepia-toned gallery of lives long gone. Among the portraits, one caught Mark's eye, a woman with eyes that seemed to hold a universe of emotions. The room pulsed with a bittersweet energy, a yearning for something lost. As days turned into weeks, Mark uncovered tales of love and tragedy, of sacrifices made, and dreams unfulfilled. The whispers grew stronger, a symphony of voices carried on the wind. The past was alive within these walls, waiting to be acknowledged. One evening, Mark found an old gramophone in the attic, covered in dust and memories. He wound it up, and the room filled with a haunting melody, the same melody that had drawn him to the forgotten room. And then something extraordinary happened. The woman in the portrait appeared before him, her ethereal form swaying to the music. She was the heart of the house, the keeper of its stories. Through her eyes, Mark saw the past, felt the emotions that had once vibrated within these walls. Their connection transcended time, a bridge between the living and the departed. With a final melancholic note, the gramophone wound down and the woman's form began to fade. But her presence remained, a part of the house, a guardian of its history. Mark understood that he wasn't just a new owner, he was a custodian of memories. And as he looked out the window at the rain-soaked world beyond, he realized that the echoes of the past would forever be a part of his present. The house was no longer just a structure. It was a vessel that held the essence of those who had lived, loved, and left their mark. And Mark, in his own way, was now a part of that story, a part of the echoes of the past. Story number 3, The Unwelcoming Home. Moving into a new home is meant to mark a fresh start, but for Emily, it became a descent into darkness. The moment she crossed the threshold of her new house, an unsettling chill slithered down her spine. Every corner seemed to hold a secret, every whisper of wind carried a warning. The first night, Emily heard footsteps pacing the hallway outside her room. Heart racing, she ventured out, only to find emptiness. She brushed it off as her imagination, but as the nights went on, the footsteps persisted, growing more urgent, more human. Objects rearranged themselves, as if the house had a mind of its own. The faucet turned on by itself, and the air was thick with a presence that couldn't be seen. Emily's unease turned to fear, her fear to desperation. She sought help from neighbors, but their eyes held sympathy mixed with hesitation. One day, while exploring the attic, Emily stumbled upon a dusty journal. Its pages were filled with the ramblings of previous owners, all plagued by the same terrors. The house seemed to feed on their fears, drawing them in like moths to a flame. As Emily read, she felt a growing weight on her shoulders, a darkness that threatened to engulf her. And then, the whispers began, the voices of those who had lived here before, echoing their pain, their terror. They warned her, pleaded with her to leave, to escape the clutches of the house. But Emily was determined. She believed that by confronting the darkness, she could banish it. Armed with the journal and a flickering candle, she ventured into the basement, where the malevolent energy seemed to pool. In the dim light, Emily saw it, a figure, a shadow that moved with a life of its own. The air grew colder, the whispers louder, and Emily felt a force trying to push her away. But she stood her ground, holding the journal like a shield. She read aloud the tales of suffering, of the battles fought within these walls, and then she spoke of her own resolve, her determination to break the cycle. The figure wavered, its form flickering like a dying flame. Emily's voice grew stronger, and with a final resolute word, the figure dissipated, leaving behind a sense of emptiness. The house was still, the air heavy with the weight of what had transpired. Emily knew that the battle was won, but the war against the darkness might never truly end. As she looked around, she felt a strange sense of connection, a bond forged in the crucible of fear. In time, the footsteps faded, the whispers grew faint, and the house seemed to settle into a semblance of peace. Emily had changed its course, had shifted its trajectory away from despair, and as she walked through its rooms, she understood that a house, like a soul, could be salvaged, redeemed from the clutches of darkness. As you step away from these chilling chronicles, remember that the past is never truly buried. It lingers, a specter in the corners of our lives. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments, and if you thirst for more stories from the realm of the unknown, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until the next journey into the shadows, remember that some homes hold more than memories. They hold the echoes of souls that refuse to be forgotten. Keep your doors locked and your senses sharp, for you never know what tales lie just beyond the threshold. Stay curious, stay cautious, and keep the light of curiosity burning in the darkest of nights.